A police station explodes. The number of casualties is all over the place. And the whole story starts with a few threatening posters, but it ends with something investigators called a white-collar terror module. Okay, so picture this. It's late on a Friday night, November 14th, 2025. The city of Srinagar is quiet. And then, bam, a massive blast just rips through the Nowgam Police Station. The sound was apparently deafening, shattering the night and just sending shockwaves all through the community. The scene was, you can imagine, total chaos. The building was heavily damaged, sirens were wailing everywhere, just a horrific scene. And in those first few hours, nobody really knew what was going on. The confusion was just off the charts. And you can see that chaos reflected right here in the initial reports. One paper says 4 dead, another says 6. India Today was reporting 7. The numbers were literally changing by the hour. But one thing was crystal clear, this was a very deadly event. Dozens were injured, and most of them were the police and forensic officials who were actually inside the station at the time. So what in the world could cause an explosion that devastating inside a police station? Well, the first official explanation that came from the authorities was, for a lot of people, really surprising. Yep, you heard that right. The police came out and said this was not a terror attack, it was a tragic accident. Their story was that the blast happened while a team of police and forensic specialists were handling materials they had just seized in a major investigation. They were literally in the middle of taking samples and sealing up the evidence when something went horribly wrong. And this is what they were handling. 360 kilograms. Let that sink in for a second. That's almost 800 pounds of explosive material. We're talking chemicals like ammonium nitrate, potassium nitrate, sulfur. The sheer scale of it is just mind-boggling. This wasn't just a couple of small items. This was a massive, dangerous cache of explosives being stored right there inside the police station. And that, of course, is the million-dollar question, isn't it? How on earth did that much explosive material end up at the Nowgam Police Station to begin with? Well, the answer to that question uncovers this incredible story that stretches across multiple states and reveals a threat that was totally new to investigators. You see, the explosion, it wasn't really the beginning of this story. It was more like a tragic, explosive chapter right in the middle of it. The trail that led to all those explosives being in Nowgam started weeks earlier, all because of what seemed like a really small clue. So this timeline really lays out how it all went down. It kicked off in mid-October with some threatening posters. Police start investigating, they arrest 3 local guys, and under interrogation, those guys point to a former paramedic who had become an imam. He in turn spills the beans about a whole network that stretches all the way to Faridabad, just outside Delhi. And that's where police arrested 2 doctors and, this is the crucial part, discovered that 360-kilogram cache of explosives. They seized it all, brought it back to the Nowgam station, and that's what set the stage for the tragedy. Now, what investigators were uncovering was just deeply unsettling. The people they believed were behind this whole plot, they weren't the kind of militants they were used to dealing with. These were educated, respected professionals. Police started using this new phrase for it, a white-collar terror module. That term alone just captures how unusual this was. They believed they'd found a terror network that wasn't organized by hardened fighters, but by doctors and other professionals who were allegedly using their skills and their access for a very different, very dark purpose. And when you look at who was allegedly involved, it gets even wilder. Investigators claimed a core trio of doctors were running the show. One of the key figures was that imam who, because he used to be a paramedic, had easy access to the medical community, which he allegedly used to radicalize other people. And get this, when police arrested the brother of one of the doctors who was on the run, they found an AK-56 rifle. But the story didn't end there. This wasn't just about some posters in Srinagar. Investigators quickly started connecting the dots, linking this very same group to that devastating car bomb that went off near Delhi's Red Fort just days earlier, a blast that killed at least 13 people. All of a sudden, the Nowgam case blew up into this huge multi-state plot with really serious national security implications. Okay, so let's go back to Nowgam. While authorities were dealing with the dead and injured, that official story of an accident, well, it wasn't the only theory making the rounds. Let's take a look at the aftermath and the big questions that are still hanging over this whole thing. So basically, 2 main theories emerged. You've got the official one, which we've talked about, an accidental detonation while they were processing evidence. But then there's this alternate theory, that it was a deliberate terror strike. Some investigators wondered if a vehicle they'd seized, which was sitting in the police compound, could have been rigged with an IED. And to make things even more complicated, a shadow group called PATH, which is linked to Jaish-e-Mohammed, actually claimed responsibility for the blast. Officials said they were still checking that out, though. But look, regardless of the cause, the impact on the ground was immediate and it was severe. A huge security crackdown just swept across Kashmir. Homes were searched, hundreds were detained for questioning, and in a really controversial move, authorities actually demolished the family home of one of the accused doctors. Police started issuing warnings about posting anti-national content on social media, and there were reports of Kashmiris living in other parts of India being profiled by police. And all of that leaves us with this final thought. The Nowgam blast is a story about a horrible explosion, yeah, but it's also a story about the changing face of security threats. So the big question we have to ask ourselves is this: when the people being accused of building bombs and plotting attacks are doctors, professionals? What does that mean for how we even understand radicalization?